this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is a video to compare two interesting MOBA or MMO mice, the SteelSeries Aerox 9 wireless and the Razer Naga Pro. Now, I've unboxed and reviewed both these mice, and I'll link to those videos in the description where I go into a lot more depth. But in this video, I'm going to talk about the various highlights, the features, the specs, and the things that make them interesting and comparable, and the things that I like and don't like about them. Now, as you can see, they're quite different. The SteelSeries Aerox 9 has a honeycomb design to it, a lot of holes, whereas the Naga Pro has some swappable faceplates on the side to give you access to a different level of button customization and a different setup so that you've got different buttons depending on what you're doing, which is actually one of the massive highlights of it. And one of the things that's worth talking about. You can see, for example, I've swapped out one of the side plates here, and now it only has 6 buttons instead of the massive other ones. You can get up to 20 buttons on the Naga Pro, and the swappable side plates are actually really easy to change. You can see they're held in place with magnets, and the system's really intelligent. It now automatically recognizes which ones it's using and will switch the settings in Synapse to let you use those and customize them depending on what game you're playing. You'll see it also has a 2.4 GHz dongle underneath there as well. The SteelSeries, on the other hand, basically has 18 buttons, and that's what you've got and that's what you're stuck with. However, you can see it is a very nicely designed mouse. It has a nice ABS matte finish on it with a honeycomb design, which makes it very lightweight. I'll talk more about that in a second. And it also has a number of interesting highlights, including some nice RGB and an overall nice aesthetic. You can see when they're in the same mode, in the MMO and MOBA mouse mode, they look quite similar but also quite different. The Naga Pro, for example, has Rgb lighting on its side buttons and on the mouse wheel and on the logo, but not really anywhere else, whereas the SteelSeries has it shining through its body and on the underside. But then when you put your hand on top of it, you don't really see the lighting on either of them. They're quite a bit different in terms of the specs as well. The Razer mouse also stands out because it has optical switches, which is definitely a highlight of this mouse and something worth keeping in mind. It also has up to a potential 150 hours of battery life. SteelSeries claims 180 hours, but that's over Bluetooth, and you can have both 2.4 GHz or Bluetooth connectivity on either mouse. However, I did find that I was plugging in the SteelSeries mouse a bit more often, and that's a bit of a problem. However, it does have fast charging via USB-C cable, and it's worth keeping that in mind because the Naga Pro uses micro USB, whereas the SteelSeries Aerox 9 uses USB-C, which is more convenient. SteelSeries has IP54 rated design, so it will hold up to dust and dirt ingress, and it also has golden micro switches, which have a really satisfying click to them, but they aren't optical, so that's worth bearing in mind. They don't have that optical mechanical setup that SteelSeries has used on previous setups, so that's a bit of a shame. It does have a USB-C dongle though, and a USB-C charging cable, and an extender/adapter that you can use, so you can basically plug a USB-C cable into that, and the dongle into that, and then the USB-A connection into your PC, and then you can remove the cable when you want to and plug it into the mouse for charging. The RGB lighting on the mouse also changes to red when it needs charging, which is really convenient because it gives you at a glance view of when things are running low. And that's pretty helpful because, as I said, the battery does run out a little bit faster. You can get up to 80 hours is the claim, but it really depends on your use, how much RGB you have, and what settings you change within SteelSeries GG software. You can customize and optimize the battery settings and tweak some of those in order to change the sleep settings or just optimize the battery overall. So you can see there are quite a few differences between both these mice and what they like to use. Now, the thing that I found with the SteelSeries Aerox 9 is it's very lightweight and very comfortable, and it has a really nice fit on my hand. I really like the SteelSeries Aerox lineup, and the Aerox 9 is no different. They are vastly different in terms of the setup between them, though. I already said, for example, that the Naga Pro has micro USB, and you will notice on the underside it has 2 charging pins, so you can pay for an additional dock that you can get from Razer that you can then dock your mouse in when you're not using it, which means that it will then charge without being plugged in, theoretically. So when you're not using it, just put it onto the dock and it will then charge up. That's obviously very convenient. I also like a lot of the different things about the Naga Pro. You can see that it's quite large, for example. I said in my review that it's one of the largest Razer mice that I've tried, and also very comfortable for that reason. The micro USB may be a bit of a faff and an annoyance, but it does have a lot of other things going for it. Obviously, those swappable side plates are nice. You'll notice on the right-hand side that has a pinky rest, essentially, and you can change the design when you want to. I found the SteelSeries Aerox 9 was really difficult to use for FPS games because of the massive buttons on the side, and you'd have the same problem with the Naga Pro. If you play a lot of FPS but also play MMO or MOBA games, you might struggle with the Aerox 9, and you would with the Naga Pro with the 12-button side plate too. Although I do think that the Naga Pro has larger side buttons than the Aerox 9, and that's worth keeping in mind, but they're both nicely designed. The Aerox 9, for example, has a bit more of an ergonomic shape to it. But you can obviously swap out the side plates on the Naga Pro for ones with less buttons. This one, for example, has just 6 buttons, and you'll see there's a bit of a textured grip on the bottom of this. They say this one's recommended for Battle Royale style games, and perhaps for FPS as well if you demand more buttons on your mouse. Also, a nice satisfying click from the side buttons, and I'm going to leave a clip at the end of the video to compare the sound of the buttons on both mice, just so you can hear the difference between them. One of the things I will note now, though, is that I found there was a bit of play in the left and right buttons at the back on the Naga Pro. It feels a little bit cheaper in the hand, and both mice are sort of comparable in price. So although the Naga Pro offers a lot more, basically in terms of specs, for example, it has a higher DPI, and it also has a higher IPS and other things like that. It also has a tad more battery life and some other interesting highlights, obviously including the optical switches and the swappable side plates. I do actually prefer the SteelSeries in some ways because of the fit and comfort of it, and the response from the clicks on the left and right switch is more satisfying, and it feels a bit more premium in some ways. There are also some hidden elements to the Aerox 9 in that it has left and right click in the mouse wheel, which isn't immediately obvious. The other obvious thing about the Aerox 9 is that it is lighter, considerably lighter in fact, at 89 grams versus the significantly heavier 117 of the Naga Pro. Just want to demonstrate this hand size so you can see that I'm about 7.5 inches in length, and you'll get a comparison of what that looks like with both mice in my hand. As I said, I think that the Naga Pro is quite large and the SteelSeries Aerox 9 fits nicely. They both sort of sit quite high off the desk, which means that they push up nicely into your palm, and it's just a comfortable grip, especially for a palm gripper. And I found that it's really easy access to the side buttons and everything that you would need. You can also see just how my thumb fits in that area. And I did say that I found that the Naga Pro's buttons are a bit nicer spread out, but you can see that the SteelSeries has a bit of a sort of ergonomic fit to those side buttons and where your thumb goes on them. And the result is a really nice comfort because of it. And it's easy to use and easy to access all those buttons. And obviously you can customize all of that within the software. Now I'm going to leave you with a sound test. Be sure to check out the links in the description for the specs and links to the review to find out more. This has been The Provoked Prawn. Thanks for watching.